Right now, the Red Sox have had a ton of roster moves over the last 24 hours, and it looks like that trend is only going to continue. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and over the last 24 hours for the Red Sox, they have seen guys go onto the IL with injuries. They've seen guys get injured during games. We've had multiple players either already make their major league debut or are scheduled to make their major league debut, as well as a couple of pending moves on top of that. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break all of that down. We're going to talk about the moves the Red Sox made in the last 24 hours, what they mean, how they're going to affect the team, and we're going to talk about the moves that are coming up and how that's going to affect the Red Sox as well. So today we're going over injuries, call-ups, and how it's all going to affect the 2023 Boston Red Sox. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start at the beginning of the timeline here. And the first move the Red Sox made over the last couple of days was to put Corey Kluber on the 15-day IL with shoulder inflammation. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. There is simply no way Corey Kluber is injured, right? This is more than likely a phantom IL stint. For those of you who do not know what phantom IL means, it's basically a way of avoiding DFAing a player by saying they have an injury so they get time to work on whatever is going on. And in the case of Corey Kluber, it's simply figuring out how to pitch at the big league level again, right? This is more than likely Corey Kluber's last shot at trying to figure something out. What's most likely going to happen is that the Red Sox are going to give Kluber a couple of weeks to see if he can figure anything out. They're going to give him one more shot at the major league level to see if he did figure stuff out. And if he did, great. If he didn't, unfortunately, it probably means that this may be the end of Corey Kluber on the Boston Red Sox. And I say unfortunately not because he was doing well for the Red Sox, but because at one point Corey Kluber was one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball. And honestly, up until this year, he was always a really solid pitcher at the major league level. To lose literally all your stuff in one felt swoop like that has got to be one of the most depressing and heartbreaking things in the entire world. And I honestly do truly feel bad for what Corey Kluber is going through. But to me, this move makes a lot of sense when you're talking about the Red Sox going forward, right? Obviously, Corey Kluber was not beneficial to you in really any capacity at the major league level. So now you're going to give him the time because he's a respected veteran to see if he can figure something out. And if he can't, okay, it might be time to move on from Corey Kluber. So that was the first move made yesterday. The second move made yesterday, the Red Sox calling up AAA shortstop David Hamilton from Worcester. Now, David Hamilton's been pretty decent for the Worcester Woo Sox so far this year. He has a 255 average with a 339 on base percentage, a 486 slug for a slightly above league average 102 WRC plus. Now, of course, obviously the speed is always a factor with Hamilton. He set a minor league record last year in AA with the amount of steals he had. He is really fast, and he did make his major league debut last night. He was used as a pinch runner in the 9th inning of the ball game, where he did steal second base and eventually scored the tying run. So that's a really cool moment for David Hamilton. In terms of how he's going to affect this roster, the reason he was even called up in the first place was because Pablo Reyes had an abdominal issue on Tuesday and ended up getting scratched from the game. Turns out Pablo Reyes is fine, so bringing up David Hamilton was more precautionary than anything. But since he's up here, the Red Sox are going to use him. Like I mentioned, they used him last night, and he's getting the start today. So they are going to use him while he's up here. In terms of what impact he's going to have on the Red Sox, my guess is he's probably not going to be up here for too long, right? I think the Red Sox are pretty okay with having Pablo Reyes start most games at shortstop, and they aren't really looking for a big change. Maybe David Hamilton comes out and impresses everybody, but I don't entirely see that happening. In my opinion, this is probably a pretty short stint for David Hamilton, and honestly, I really wouldn't be surprised if he's sent back down to the minor leagues after today's game. But either way, a very cool moment for David Hamilton making his major league debut. So those were the two sort of big moves that were confirmed yesterday, but there were more moves that are going to either happen while you're watching this video, and they've already happened, or they're going to happen this morning. The first is that Alex Cora last night after the game did confirm confirmed that the Red Sox will be calling up Brandon Walter to help pitch in some capacity today. Brandon Walter is the Red Sox number 13 prospect in our system, according to SoxProspects.com, and he has been struggling a bit at the AAA level this year. Currently, he has a 6.28 ERA in 13 appearances, 12 of them being starts. However, he does have a much lower FIP at 4.74. So he has been pitching overall a bit better than his ERA has let on. And if the Red Sox use him in a role similar to what they used in Chris Murphy, where they used him as sort of a long reliever and had an opener start games, he may still be effective out of the bullpen, even with his struggles in AAA this year, because he's still striking out guys at a pretty decent clip, and he's not walking a ton of people either. His problem this year has been the home run ball, so if the Red Sox can try and limit that by having him come out of the bullpen instead of making a full start, he could still be effective. Now, in my opinion, the Red Sox simply just need pitching, right? You've got Chris Sale on the IL for an extended period of time, Tanner Houck, who needs surgery, who's probably going to be out at least another month, and now you've got Corey Kluber on the IL, right? So you do need guys who could just simply give you innings, and Walter should be able to do that at the major league level. Now, again, when we're talking about the impact of these prospects, I think it's going to be pretty limited for Walter. Although, like I said, the Red Sox do need pitching. So if Walter does come out and he is really impressive, there is a chance we could see him for a bit of an extended period of time. However, in my opinion, it would make more sense for the Red Sox to use Walter today, option him after the game, and then wait until Chris Murphy is available to be called back up, who has had a bit more proven success at the major league level, if you are going to go the route of having an opener and then a guy come in for 3 or 4 innings until one of Sale or Tanner Houck comes back. So in my opinion, if we're talking about whether or not Brandon Walter will have a huge impact on the 2023 Red Sox, I don't entirely think so, but I do think he could end up being an extended period of time type guy if he does impress right here, because again, the Red Sox are going to need arms over the next couple of months, so guys like Walter and Murphy have a huge opportunity here to cement themselves as more of a regular name in this Red Sox roster. On top of all of that, last night during the game, Reese McGuire injured himself on a swing, as being shown here. It ended up being a right oblique strain because of that swing, which now puts Reese McGuire on the 10-day IL. So the Red Sox have lost their backup-ish catcher for at least the next 10 days. And I say ish because, yes, Reese McGuire was the backup catcher, but he was still getting a pretty decent amount of playing time. They were essentially splitting playing time between Connor Wong and Reese McGuire. Now Reese is on the 10-day IL. As for who's going to replace Reese McGuire, the Red Sox have officially called up Caleb Hamilton from AAA Worcester. Now, Caleb Hamilton does have time at the major league level, but he has been struggling mightily at the AAA level so far this year. He has just a 180 average with a 284 on base percentage and a 310 slug, good for just a 50 WRC plus. So at the plate, he's producing at about half the rate as the average player in AAA, but the Red Sox need a backup catcher. What this is most likely going to mean is that Connor Wong is going to end up catching most of these games. It doesn't look like Reese McGuire is going to be out for a super long extended period of time, so it makes sense that you'd call someone up with major league experience just in case. But in my opinion, what we're going to see is Connor Wong on a more everyday basis than we've ever seen before, which I'm perfectly fine with because I love Connor Wong behind the plate. His defense is awesome. He's got some crazy pop at the plate. He's a ton of fun to watch with that speed and athleticism. So I'm honestly okay with the Red Sox starting Connor Wong over everyone else until Reese McGuire is back. And honestly, even when Reese McGuire does get back, I would like to see Connor Wong still get more of the starts. The most interesting part of this move in the Caleb Hamilton move is that Caleb Hamilton is not on the 40-man roster, meaning that the Red Sox needed to clear a space. To clear the space for Caleb Hamilton on the 40-man roster before they can bring him up to the 26-man roster, the Boston Red Sox decided to move Yu Chang to the 60-day IL, which isn't entirely a surprise, but I did think it was going to be Richard Blyer because Richard Blyer has already been on the IL for 58 days. Moving him to the 60-day IL would effectively do absolutely nothing to his timeline. It's pretty much the same scenario with Yu Chang. Him getting moved to the 60-day IL doesn't delay him a ton. He's still probably going to take about a month or two to get back, so this really kind of does make sense in terms of who they were going to move to the 60-day IL. And to make room for everybody on the roster, you've got David Hamilton, Caleb Hamilton, Hamilton and Brandon Walter who are coming up. So for David Hamilton, obviously it was the Corey Kluber move. For Brandon Walter, it appears as though it's Alex Verdugo going on to the bereavement list. Hopefully everything's okay with the Verdugo family. That's never a good thing to see. I think his grandmother died a little bit ago, so maybe it has something to do with that. But again, I hope all is well with Alex Verdugo. And again, with Caleb Hamilton, you are getting Yu Chang to the 60-day IL. And I know this is a ton of information, so let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of all these latest roster moves slash injuries slash everything? What do you think of Corey Kluber going on to the IL? What did you think of David Hamilton being called up? What do you think of Brandon Walter getting some starts here at the major league level? And what do you think of Caleb Hamilton making his way to the major leagues? As well as, what do you think of Reese McGuire's injury? And how do you think that's going to affect the 2023 Red Sox? Because to be honest with you, as much as I like what Reese McGuire did yesterday, I don't know how much of an impact it's going to have, but that's just my opinion. So let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox roster moves and injuries in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.